They keep going, Lee, aren't they? Not the greatest day, but
Yeah.
Another late goal.
Yeah, kept going. I think that's the most positive we can be, if you like, in terms of performance. So I appreciate that. Look, we weren't our best. I felt before the game, like, you make an honest assessment of your team, if you like, and you make an honest assessment of the opposition. And I knew that we had to play our best today to win this game. And it wasn't because we haven't got good players. It was because I felt in picking a team, I was sort of like robbing Peter to pay Paul in attributes. And it was, if you look at the injury and the suspension list today, we just couldn't tick, if you like, all the championship boxes of like height, experience, speed, ability. Do you know what I mean? And it was nothing against the players that are on the pitch at all, because they're all very, very good players. But it's just getting that blend, you know, and that sort of. It's not cohesion, because they've got cohesion, but sometimes, for example, you need to leave it into a big striker, which they had and we didn't have today. We didn't have in our armoury. Midfield dog, if you like, to go and just win tackles and set off moves. We didn't have it in our armoury. Do you know what I mean? So I knew we had to play the perfect game, and I knew that they are a good side. I like them a lot. And I think if you're building a side in your head in terms of attributes, Wigan have got a lot of them, and we just weren't as good as them today. So even more reason to be happy, I think, with the point. We done 5 or 6 decent moves in the first half where we cut them open. They were extremely aggressive in their press, and we didn't get it out quick enough in terms of move that ball quick enough to then break the line. We did 4 or 5 times, and that's when we looked very, very dangerous and slick. But it was often on the counter rather than with them having 11 faces behind the ball. So that bit I was disappointed. But then sometimes I look at it and I think, well, hold on a minute. Like, this is madness. The boys have done unbelievably well to be in this position. I said if I'd have wrote this team down in the summer, if you'd have told me that team today was starting in this game in the summer, I'd probably put you in a funny farm, because, you know, we've got so many key players that would have been involved in that game.
You've got to be disappointed that the same player scored from two corners. That's not really acceptable, is it?
I am, but it was always going to be our weakness. Look, we was down. If you had the total height of the team, I mean, Jesus plays today, and I think this is almost one of the I don't think people always give Jesus the credit he deserves, because he clears more balls in that mid-goal zone than anybody else in the division. Do you know what I mean? So everybody wants a striker to score 30 goals a season, but it's just as important to clear that ball in the mid-goal zone, and that's where he's world class. And I'm sure that if he had played today, those 2 goals don't get scored.
There's been a few warning signs, hasn't there, from previous corners before the
Yeah, we were small. Yeah. Like when you got Tommy Rowe picking up Kiefer Moore, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that's a mismatch. And so we had to play the perfect game. And to be fair, we were patient. Like, at times we wanted to be able to get it forward, but into who? Do you know what I mean? You got to play on the floor and play into feet or work it around them. You want to be able to go through them, around them, and over them. And unfortunately, we didn't have the option to go over them today, and therefore it led us to being a little bit disjointed in certain phases of play.
You could have gone second with a win. I mean, that would have been extraordinary, wouldn't it?
We can go top
Friday
with the next win. I think that's the mindset. You know, I don't think we weren't at it because of that. On that side of it, I don't think we felt any pressure. It was too early, and the championship's too tight for that. And like I say, from that losing position, like, I was all right with the point, even though I'm demanding a lot more from individuals. I thought there was 3 or 4. I thought Callum was very good today.
Yeah,
I thought his attitude to drive towards the opposition was good. I thought Andy Vyman's typical Andy. Yeah. I think the save from Bentley, you know what I mean, is massive at the key stage, and then arguably we could have gone on to win it with Andy's. And it's a good chance, you know what I mean? So he could probably have drove that ball a little bit forward with it to then get a better angle to
feel a
finish.
bit tired at that point because he'd never stopped.
Yeah, that's true. But listen, I'm telling you, if there's a goal at the end of it, he'll run another marathon. So yeah, look, I think it's one we've got to pass off as not at our best, but still manage to get a point out of it.
Mine's gone.
Okay. The Portuguese, he got his goal, which is good. His first goal for the club. So that's
I think me and McAllister get the major contribution on that one because he was going to stay back, and he's good in the air, Pereira. Yeah, so I think that if you look back at it, the timing was absolutely perfect because he was going to stay back. We sort of force him to go in, and therefore he doesn't get picked up at the near post, and it gives an extra man. So. Yeah, pleased with that one, and he'll be pleased. And I thought second half he had a good game.
Just some housekeeping stuff, mate. Did you not appeal Deju's card in the end, or did?
You're never going to get off it, mate. When you look back at that, it's got to be like mistaken identity, or do you know what I mean? I think the lad's been clever because he sort of showed him the ball and then sort of dived across the ball, if you like. And the third kick looks excessive, doesn't it? Like there's the first and the second one, you see he's trying to poke it, and then it looks like there's 5-10% frustration in it. Live, I didn't think it was that bad, but it's like anything. When you look at it back, it always looks worse, and more importantly, that would end up a frivolous appeal, and therefore we'd get 4 games.
How about your charge that you've got? Will you contest that one, or do you know what it's for?
Yeah, I know what it's for. It's harsh, mate, let me tell you. It's for... Well, you saw what it's for, didn't it? It says what it's for.
Yeah, but what did you say to
Well, listen, it wasn't that bad. If you're talking about scaling, it definitely didn't question integrity. And I'm a bit of a bird watcher, so I shouted a name in mid-air that was potentially... looking at a bird called a blue tit that was on top of the Luton stand, and I think it got misconstrued that it was aimed at the referee.
In the end of the day, a good point. Although they've come with a terrible record, one away from home for 14 months or whatever, but they look better than that, don't they?
Yeah, they are. They're good. I think there's so many sides in the division where you could look at it and go. Like, you could see Wigan going on a good run. Yeah. You know, like I talked about ticking the boxes. Like they tick the boxes. You know, they've got 2 athletic fullbacks. Obviously, Mulgrew's been out, but they've got a centre half that can play in Mulgrew and Fox, and then an athlete powerhouse next to them. They've got sort of workers that can play in midfield. You know, they've got a target man. They've got subs to come on. The wide men are dangerous. You know, when they're 1v1 against you. So. I think there's 5 or 6 sides, which again was why you got no divine right to be up there, sort of in the top 6. And we are very, very young at the moment, and for the boys to keep sort of churning out points and results is okay, you know, because we've still got phases and areas to improve on and develop as we go.
Really nice to go back to your former club on Friday, and they are struggling a little bit, so I suppose does that surprise you a bit?
I think it's like you step up from League One and it's not easy, you know, and they lost 3 or 4 players. We know ourselves when we've lost players like to sales and key members of the dressing room and the side, it's not easy. So, but they're still plucky, you know, their energy is good, and they've got a lot of young talent in the side. And it's almost too similar, sort of probably the age. I bet the age, take Ashley Williams out of it, wouldn't be a million miles off with a team that finished for us today.
Sekou Jan going out to join your dad, is that right?
Yeah, he's going to go there. Obviously suits us. One, it gets him game time rather than playing our under 23s, if you like. Don't forget, he's a club developed player for us as well, so we have to keep them fit and we have to keep them recallable, and that's important, I think, because obviously if Semenyo goes down, then in 28 days our options then become either Opie Edwards, Connor Evans is out injured, and Tyreek Baconton's in, but you might need a striker, and the one thing he'll do is run around and spin in behind, and be a positive influence in terms of his sprinting. So, yeah, he's come back from a long injury, but he looks fit. He'll go to Torquay, hopefully do well for them, and he's always recallable if we need him.
Thanks. Lee, just back on to today's game, do you think there was any sort of complacency amongst your players?
No.
Because obviously you're playing against a lowly side.
No, I don't think that at all. I think the bigger question for me is the performance state. That's I'm not sure we're 100% know yet as individuals, like where our 100% is and how to get there quickly. Imagine like if you're a gladiator and you're in that tunnel going out in the gladiators arena, how are you going to feel? Do you know what I mean? I think Roy Keane talks about it, didn't he, before, like in terms of Man United and the difference in the modern day player to the hugs and the kisses that they give in the tunnel to like my era. Still, I'm young, but it's still old school values, if you like, where you're trying to intimidate actually, and you're trying to, in whichever way you can do it, you're actually trying to win the game in the tunnel as well. And it's just not like that anymore, and that's the bit that's sometimes hard to take. And I think that performance state, where does that start? Does that start in the dressing room? Does that start at home the day before? Does that start like as you cross the white line? Does that start after you've taken a punch on the nose? Do you know what I mean? Like when is that? When does that come to fruition? So it's something that we've got to work on, I think, with this group, is that performance state. And if we'd have played as well as we could have today, I wouldn't be having these thoughts, but we didn't, and therefore I have to look not only at myself but of all the individuals that are in that squad. I'm not sure about the Sunday games. I think that, do you know what I mean, the crowd seem a little bit like dampened, you know, like I know we've got to get the crowd going, but like I don't know whether, you know what I mean, whether that plays a part in it. I think we all prefer Saturday 3 o'clock, like fans included, and maybe Friday night games. But I don't know. I think everything's got to be looked at, and we will.
Thank you very much.
Okay.